When teachers tell me that movement doesn't work in their classroom, it's often because of a story like this. They try a movement activity, the students get excited, the noise level goes up, the energy goes up, the class becomes harder to manage, and the teacher thinks, well, that didn't work. But what if the problem wasn't the movement? What if the problem was choosing the wrong type of movement for what the students needed in that moment? Because today I want to talk to you about something that completely changed the way that I use movement in my classroom. Not all movement needs to raise the energy. Sometimes movement should do the exact opposite. Throughout the series, we've talked about why movement matters, participation based teaching, planning movement into lessons, using movement as assessment. But today we're going to talk about regulation. Because one of the most important questions we ask ourselves as teachers is, what do my students need right now? Not what activity did I plan, not what's next in my lesson, but what do my students actually need? I think one of the biggest myths about classroom movement is that it has to be more energy, more excitement, more noise, more activity. And while movement can absolutely do those things, that's only half the story. Movement can also focus, calm, regulate, refocus, and reset. The problem is that many teachers only think about one type of movement, high energy. So let's start there. There are absolutely times where students need energy. Maybe it's the first thing in the morning, maybe it's right after lunch, maybe it's when students seem a little sleepy, maybe when it's students need to really be engaged, or maybe it's when students have been sitting a little too long. High energy movement can be wonderful. And throughout this entire series, I've given you some of my favorite ways: walking on a steady beat, different movement games, different partner activities, rhythm relays, scarf dances, and movement challenges. These activities increase participation and wake students up. And sometimes that's exactly what a class needs, but sometimes it's not. The problem with using high energy movement for everything. This is where I think teachers sometimes get frustrated. Because if every movement activity includes increased energy, eventually students get elevated. And then we wonder why transitions then become difficult or why students struggle to focus. Movement isn't just about getting students moving. It's about helping students get where they need to be. And sometimes what they need to be is calmer. Calm movement is one of my favorite types of movement that teachers often overlook. Calm movement, regulating movement, focused movement. These activities still involve participation. Students are still engaged. They're just not becoming more energized. And some of my favorite ones take absolutely no planning time, really, and can be used whenever they're needed. Teaching your students some basic 4-4 conducting patterns can save so much headache later on. Or even simpler, passing out scarves, some slow scarf pathways, finding the different shapes, like tracing musical phrases or drawing different shapes in the air, mirroring whatever your movements are, which again can go with the song that you just have up and ready in the background, or even just silently. Breathing with music, showing that melodic contour. Students are moving, but that movement is helping them to settle. One analogy I like to use is a volume knob. Sometimes we need to turn the energy up, and other times we need to turn the energy down. And the mistake is assuming that the volume only goes in one direction. As teachers, we can intentionally choose movement that helps students regulate towards what they need. Not what Pinterest is telling us we need, but what our students need in that moment. When I'm planning a lesson, I ask myself, how do I want students to feel after this activity? That's the question, not what movement activity should I do. Instead, how do I want my students to feel? Do I want them energized or focused, creative or calm, ready to listen or ready to perform? Once I know the answer, the movement becomes easier to choose. There's one lesson that I posted about a couple weeks ago using the story The Quiet Forest. This is an absolutely amazing story. I love this story. And what happens throughout the story is you're following a mischievous mouse who kind of starts a chain reaction. The forest starts off as very quiet, and then one thing leads to another, and it gets more and more chaotic, and more things are happening. It's really funny. My students think it's absolutely hilarious. And we finally get to the point where so many things are happening. The students are laughing, the students are energized, the students are going a bit crazy. And I know it's at that movement that I need to find a way to harness that energy and then settle them down. So I built a movement break to just go along with that lesson. I pieced together two of Edvard Grieg's biggest songs, right? In the Hall and the Mountain King and Morning. So you can kind of hear what I mean right there automatically. The difference between at the end, da 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 da, and then Morning, Da, 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 da. And I splice them together so they happen one right after another, so that my students get their high energy out and then immediately transition to the calm flowing of morning. Now, that's just one example. Imagine that instead your students are coming right in from after recess. They're hot, they're sweaty, suddenly they all need a water break. And some of them really just want to come down and put their heads down on the table. Now, that's when I want to get them transitioning to my classroom, but probably not fully energizing them, but maybe waking them up a bit. So for that, I might choose steady beat walking, some rhythm movement, some partner interaction. Now, that's still completely different than, say, the end of the day when my students have absolutely no energy whatsoever. That might be where I use a rhythm relay, a large movement break, something that I know my students are going to really want to do, but that will also really wake them up. I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned over the years is the goal isn't maximum energy. The goal is the right energy. Some of my most successful lessons have actually involved very calm movement because my students were exactly where they needed to be, focused, present, and ready to learn. So today we talked about why movement isn't always high energy, nor should it be, the difference between energizing and regulating movement, how to choose movement based on what students need, why movement helps students focus, and why the goal is the right energy, not the highest energy. And honestly, I think that's a really important mindset shift into movement-based learning and movement-based teaching. Thank you so much for joining me for another week of Make Movement Matter, this soaring summer series. I hope this video helps you look at movement differently as you prepare for the upcoming school year. Remember, movement is not just for engagement, it's also a tool for regulation. Next week, we're going to talk about the first few minutes of class and why those opening moments can completely change the trajectory of your entire lesson. And if you found today's video helpful at all, make sure you like, subscribe, follow along, and let me know below. Do your students usually need more energy or more calm when they come into the music room? I'd love to hear your experience. And until next time, happy playing.